Hi, I'm Marnie Pearson. If you've made your way to this page, you might be a light bearer. What is a light bearer? A light bearer is someone who lovingly lights the way for others, who's been through something difficult or learned something through life experiences and is now leading the way for others to help them break free of limiting situations. Those limiting situations might be financial, spiritual, emotional, mental, physical. They might be related to health. Whatever aspect that limits people, they help people break free to greater unlimited happiness and joy and solutions. Okay, so if you're a light bearer, you're probably a Christian entrepreneur, someone who is trying to make a positive impact in the world. And if you're one of those people, you're in the right place. And you're probably going through what I call the light bearer cycle. We go through this cycle over and over and over as we become refined to become a purer light for God in the world. And I like to use quartz, the rock, to explain the process that light bearers go through. This piece of quartz here it's white, but it's got some dingy spots. It's got a little bit of clarity, some fine clarity pieces there as well. But it's just been pulled out of a mountain somewhere. I got this out in Zion National Park. And this is kind of how we are when we first start out. We've had our life experiences. We've dealt with some hard knocks. We have our human frailties. We have our gifts, our talents, our good qualities, and also our weaknesses. And this is kind of how we start out. And we're called to make a difference in the world. We're kind of hewn out of that rock and we're called to make a difference. And that's the first stage that light bearers go through. The next stage is we start to get white. Okay? And this piece right here has got some white, a lot of white right here. It's very beautiful and pretty, and the impurities are almost completely out of this as far as there's no blemishes or anything. And there's even some clarity happening here. And this is the next phase of the light bearer process where we get a greater level of purity in who we are and what we stand for, and we even start to get a little clarity about who we are. And this comes really through a kind of a white flag of surrender a little bit too. I believe we have to surrender to God at some point. We get to the point where we just have to surrender maybe our plans or what we think ought to happen and come to that point where we can be purified in some way by God. The next part is more of a clarity, where you start to get clear about who you are in relation to God, what you're here to do in the world. You get clarity about your mission, your message, everything that you are. And as you keep getting clearer and clearer, you can become prismatic and just completely clear and transparent and like glass where you can almost see through it. And at this point, you're going through perhaps some difficult challenges. This is another phase of the process that can be a little bit daunting. It feels like you're being tested on the very thing that you're teaching perhaps, or maybe you're back to square one and you're thinking, you've been teaching people something for a while and then suddenly you're doubting what you taught them. Is there really any truth in this? Is this really true principles that I'm teaching? Because I'm back to square one and everything that I worked on and did before doesn't seem to be working. And it's a time to dig back in to the processes and the things that you're teaching, to refine them and to document your process out and to be able to really get deeper in there so you have more meat to the work that you're doing in the world. It looks like a painful situation, but it's really a gift. And I call that the transparency phase. Okay? And then finally you get to the point where you can shine, where you're prismatic. And there's an interesting quality about quartz. It has 3 properties that, in my research that I found. And the first is that it can refract light. The light comes through it and it can refract out in all the colors of the rainbow. The other aspect of it is it has a healing property. A lot of people feel like quartz has an actual healing property. Some people will put it in their water, or they'll put a glass of water on top of quartz because they feel like it has this spiritual healing property to it. And light bearers kind of have that. They walk into a room and they have a healing presence. The work that they do in the world is healing and brings people greater spiritual awareness. And the third property is this resonance, this constant, unfailing signal that quartz puts out. And it's so constant and unfailing, they can use it in clocks to keep time, they use it in computers, it's been used in radios like in World War II, because it transmits a constant, unwavering signal. And when you get to that point where you have been purified and you're white and you're clear and you become transparent, you can be that unwavering signal to everyone around you. And the clearer you get about who you are and what you're here to do, the more people are going to be drawn to you, the more people are going to listen to you, the more clear your message is going to be out into the world. And so that's the light bearer process. And we go through it, repeatedly, and there's probably cycles within cycles as we go through life. The little assessment that I have on this page will help you figure out where you are in this process so you can navigate more easily, get through the step that you're in, and know what's coming next. Be my guest here, take this free light bearer assessment and see where you are in the process, and I'll meet you on the other side.